everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Today we are going to be looking at 3 different cards. We're going to look at heat embossing, we're going to look at some watercolor washing, we're going to look at shaker cards. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to be using the brand new release from Catherine Pooler called Boho Trends. So I'm going to use this set called Smile Bright, which is lots of different rainbows. We're going to use a butterfly in one of them, and then I want to use some colors that aren't in my normal color scheme. So this is the Apothecary line of colors, which is in the Spa collection. If you don't know Catherine Pooler, she has 2 different collections of ink. One is bright and it's called the Party collection. The other one is more muted colors, and that's Spa collection. So I'm going to play with muted colors, and if you know me, this is not my normal color scheme. So this was really fun, and I love that she puts things together in color combinations that help you figure out how to use them. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit the like and subscribe on my channel. This is the Apothecary colors, and really I only need 3 for this rainbow, and you can pretty much pick any of these colors and they are going to look great together. So I'm just going to pick the ones that I like the most, and I'm going to show you a few different rainbows stamped with those so that you can see the difference in those color combos and what kind of things you can make with them, which is amazing. Okay, here are the first 3 that I'm going to use for the rainbow: terracotta, apricot, and lilac. And I'm going to show you a couple of stamping tricks with Catherine Pooler inks if you haven't used these before. They are very juicy inks. That means they put a ton of ink down, so you really want to lightly tap on your stamp. And I also look and just make sure you'll almost see like bubbles of ink on there. So I just try to make sure I smooth it out as much as possible. And I'm one of those people who's kind of impatient. If I stamp this and it looks like it's pretty solid, it's likely going to fill in with the ink as you let it dry, but I don't like to wait for that. So I usually stamp a second thing, and that may just be my being used to using very dark colors and really loving that. So I usually do 2 layers on each of these. So we're going to go 2 of terracotta. I'm going to show you, see how I'm just getting the ink very smooth and spread out. It looks great. And then I'm going to stamp it a second time, and I'll show you the difference. Like I said, if I were to let this dry, it's going to fill in and look great, but I'm not going to wait on that. So I went on and stamped it a second time. Plus, I like as rich and dark of colors as possible. Quick tip: when I'm doing a stamp that requires other stamps to fit inside of it, like this rainbow, I a lot of times will go ahead and lay out my other stamps, because you can slightly move a stamp. So I could make it not the right arch width. I could pull it apart and attach it to my Misty in an incorrect way. Now you've got to kind of work to do that, but I usually make sure that I've got them correct and that I don't need to adjust anything, so that my stamping will look good the first time. So the way that I do this is I've got them both down, and then I'm going to close the door of my Misty, pick them both up, and then take the middle out. Okay, here's what the apricot looks like, and then let me show you the lilac. All right, and there's the lilac. So colors that I wouldn't normally think of as a rainbow, but they look so cute together. So I'm going to do one more in this Apothecary ink, and we are going to use apricot, wintergreen, and lilac. And I'm going to show you how different they can look and give you just such cool coordinated cards. Okay, and let's look at those 2 rainbows compared to each other. You could make an entire set with this rainbow thing. You could make coordinating cards. It would be so cute. So anyway, these look great. I'm going to die cut these. I'm going to add some details to them, and we'll make those cards. But let me show you the other color combo that I used. For this one, we are going to use the color wheel for the Party collection. So what I usually do is I start out, I really liked the Coral Cabana, and I knew that I wanted to use that color. So then I start moving my wheel around and looking at what works. So a tetrad, which is that triangle in the middle, I'm going to show you and lay out the inks that I picked from that. So any of those colors will go well together, and you can move this color wheel around and adjust so that you can pick your colors. This is a lifesaver for me, and it's a free download at Catherine Pooler, so it will be in the description so you can download it. Okay, so here are the three colors that I decided to go with: Coral Cabana, Melon Ice, and Serenade. And those, like I said, are in that triad. I said tetrad, but it's a triad, so it's a triangle basically on the color wheel. And look at how cute those are gonna look together. It's gonna be a great rainbow. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Look at how beautiful that turned out. Isn't that such a cute bright rainbow? What I'm going to do is die cut this, and I'm going to use a piece of watercolor paper, and I'm going to use some masking tape so that I can add just a little bit of blue sky behind the rainbow, but also so that below the rainbow it can look like the colors are dripping down onto the paper. So we're going to do this with some ink refill. So I'm just using my mat to line up this piece of tape so that I'll know where I want it to be, and make sure that I've got it on the card straight. Once I have this piece down, I'm going to write on the actual tape, and you see that I'm making little marks and drawing a line in between them so that you can see where the color is on this rainbow. And I've got my rainbow lined up, how I'm going to put it on the card, and I'm just making those lines. And it's nice because I don't have to make those lines on my paper. I've got this piece of tape that works great, and then I'm going to show you how I drop the color into those areas. I spray the bottom of this because we want it to be pretty wet so that those colors will drip down. And for Coral Cabana, I don't have the ink refill, and since I don't, I'm going to use the actual pad and a water brush, and we're going to drip that color down. Now this is not going to be quite as dark as using a straight re-inker to it, so I'm going to try to get as much color as I can on the paper. And I'm just going to line it up with those stripes that I drew on my piece of tape and start adding color in and trying to let it drip down the page. Once you've got your color going, you can add a little bit more spray and try to kind of aim these down the page and then add more color to the top too. So I'm just trying to come in. It does spread out a little bit past where my marks are, but that's okay because it's going to blend in with my other colors. But I'm trying to make it most saturated where those marks are. That's where that top of that rainbow is going to come down and touch this area. So I'm going to add some color like that, and then I'm going to show you how I do it with a re-inker, which is a little bit easier. So the re-inkers are definitely less work because you can put a little drop right there where it's supposed to be and then kind of spray it and get it to go down the paper. Now if you get anything too wet, you see I've got a piece of paper towel there. I can always grab my paper towel and dry the little drops off, especially at the bottom of the page if I need to. But it's really forgiving to do this, and you see I just dry those drops off. I'm trying to keep the paper from warping too much too. And then I may add just a little bit more of this re-inker with a brush. And I'm also going to blend with my water brush the two color areas just to kind of make them look nice and blended together, like that rainbow is just fading out into the sky. With Serenade, it looks very dark when it's coming out, but remember, you're going to be adding water to this, so don't fret if it looks way darker than what you want. You've got a spray bottle, just spray some more water on it, dab some things off, but I don't want to get so much on here that I'm getting all of my purple into the other colors because I really want to be able to see Melon Ice, and so I'm just using a little brush and kind of spreading this out. I will add a little extra water to it just to make sure it looks right, but then we're going to let this dry, or you can use your heat tool to dry it, and we're gonna add some sparkle to this, like our rainbow is just trailing sparkle. Once I added everything is dry at the bottom before I do any of the sparkle, I'm just going to add just a little bit of color on the top, and this is Cumberbund. I'll put that up on the screen for you, but I'm just doing just a little bit to have it behind the rainbow. Okay, now let me show you. I did a little powder up top where I don't want any of the embossing powder, and I'm going to use this Wow Mixed Media brush. This is embossing stamp fluid, but it's got a brush. You could make this on your own with a refill, but I'm just going to use this brush, and we're going to make the center of these sparkly. So I'm going to be using Catherine Pooler's Halo, which is my favorite sparkly embossing powder, and I'm just creating the line where I want that sparkle to go with this brush. So it takes a little doing. It's a little bit thick, but it's really fun to add that sparkle. And I know that that line is a little bit messy, but remember, there's going to be a die cut above this, so you're not going to be able to tell that any of that rainbow fades out above the line that I had it on. So my tape may not have stuck down quite like I wanted it to right there. Now once I have all of this painted and I'm gonna make sure that I've got some sparkle that comes down from each little color set here. Then we're going to add the Catherine Pooler Halo embossing powder, and we're gonna heat it up just like you would any embossing powder to get some amazing sparkle. Okay, so I'm gonna put that embossing powder on. This is very glittery. You do need something to catch this in. I use coffee filters because they're very inexpensive, and they're really good at catching this. So look at how beautiful that is. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna heat it up and then we'll put this card together. Here's how it looks. Oh my goodness, it looks beautiful, all heated up. Also added a little detail to my rainbow with some of that halo so that it kind of matches, and that really brings the whole card together. Here's the final card. Next, we're going to use this stamp, which is also from Catherine Pooler, Whipped Honey, which I know is a little hard to read because it's a light color. And I'm going to create the front of the card. So this is going to be the front of our card. I'm going to use the die cut for the rainbow to create my shaker window. So this is a coordinating color in that apothecary set, so it's going to match our rainbows. I decided I would use the rainbow that starts with terracotta, and we'll be able to see that rainbow behind this cutout. So I'm lining up how I want my sentiment to look to make sure I've got this hole in the card in the correct place, because you don't want to have to cut it again. And then now I've got this cut out up here that I don't need to cut out of its paper. I can just use that behind my window. So I've got to build the window. So we're going to start with acetate. Notice I forgot the first step, so let me correct that. We need an acetate window before we can put all of this foam tape on. So notice what I did. I just peeled back as much as I could on the foam tape, and I'm just going to cut myself a small piece of acetate, add some double-sided adhesive to make sure that it sticks, and then I will put my foam tape back where it was to build the window. Okay, now that I fixed that, I've got the acetate there, I've got some foam tape around it. We need some type of powder tool to keep our little embellishments from sticking to the sides of the foam tape. So I'm using a little powder tool and I'm going around those edges. This is super important, or all of your beads or sequins or whatever you put in here are going to stick to the foam tape and not shake freely like you want them to in a shaker card. Okay, this may seem weird, but you want to pour your sequins or whatever you're going to use onto the area and then place the foam tape in the front on top of it. And the reason is it's almost impossible to line up your image if you do it the opposite way. So if I were to pour these sequins inside that foam tape window and then try to line this rainbow up, I have to be almost upside down to figure out where the colors are. So doing it this way really saves you some time. And did you know that you can use an ink pad and just create your own cardstock? So to perfectly coordinate this little butterfly, I'm using the lilac ink pad, and I'm going to create a couple little spots just to cut out some butterflies. Super easy, and one of those things about Catherine Pooler inks that to me makes them so worth it. I love being able to create my own color cardstock like that. Okay, and here's the final card. I just love this one. I think this may be one of my faves. The next one is simple, but also really fun. So I used 2 of the extra like decorations, I guess you would say, that are in the package, the leaves and the little zigzags. And I'm going to make this, to me, boho sounds like those wonderful rainbows that have like the ropes that come out of the bottom. I don't know what those things are called, but they just look so textured. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to emboss these in a textured white embossing powder. And then I'm also going to create the little tassels that are in the set in that same textured white embossing powder. And I think it gives this card such an amazing look. The other thing I like to do when I'm creating such small little die cuts and I'm going to emboss these is I went on and cut them out, and then I added some tape to the back of this piece of paper and stuck the cutouts back in that little area just to hold them still. And then now I can use tweezers, get them out off of the little sticky, and I can put them in the embossing powder. So you'll see that there is blue tape in the back of this, and I'm going to use my tweezers. I started to use my hands, but I didn't mess it up. And I'm going to use my tweezers, and then I'm going to put some of that embossing powder on these. So you want to make sure that your tape isn't too sticky so it doesn't tear these little things. But this worked really well for me. I do have to get it started with my hand, but it works really well. And I'm going to show you that textured embossing powder. So I'm using the Lawn Fawn textured embossing powder, and of course I'll link it below for you. But that really creates some cute tassels. I'll show you. Here they are. Look how cute those look. Oh my goodness, that just really makes this to me a little boho card. So here's the final. Okay, I just think that makes it look so cute. The boho is just, oh my goodness, that's such a cute little trend, and I just love the textured white. I think that really makes the card. So don't forget to use your embossing powders in different ways. If you noticed in my title, I put giveaway. There is a giveaway going on until March the 1st for my channel for hitting 4K on subscribers. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that so much. And currently, there is also an Instagram hop for Catherine Pooler that I'm a part of. So I will link both of those things in the description and give you a chance to get some giveaways and get you some crafty goodness. I hope that you enjoyed these cards. Make sure you leave me a note and tell me which of these cards is your favorite. I think I'm leaning towards the boho and the shaker card. Those are just, I just love them. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and here's a video that I think you would enjoy next. Have a great day, guys. Bye.